Hey guys, tonight we time travel way back tens of thousands of years, into a world that smells like damp moss, cracked bones, and general hardship. You blink and you're not in your bed anymore. You're barefoot in the wilderness. The trees around you tower like ancient watchmen. The wind is sharp, almost personal, and somewhere in the distance, something snarls. You have no phone, no blanket, not even a stick. This isn't some cool camping trip. This is survival, stripped bare. And spoiler alert, you probably won't survive this. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, drop your city and local time in the comments. I love seeing where everyone's listening from. Now dim the lights, maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum, and let's ease into tonight's journey together. Your feet hit the ground hard. Every rock is a surprise, every twig a stab. The air is crisp, but not in a refreshing way. It's your breath just turned into ice kind of crisp. You instinctively reach for your hoodie, but all you're wearing is your birthday suit. It's the Upper Paleolithic, roughly 30,000 years ago, and your wardrobe just got downgraded to goosebumps and shame. The forest hums with alien sounds, clicks, screeches, rustling from above, below, and all sides. A bird swoops past you, and you actually duck, even though it's a squirrel. Or maybe it's a prehistoric flying squirrel. Historians still argue whether gliding mammals of this kind existed alongside early humans. Either way, it's judging you. There's no path forward, literally or metaphorically. You pick a direction and start walking, because what else are you going to do, sit and cry? Actually, crying would be the most reasonable response. Within minutes, your calves are on fire. Your modern human body, honed by chair sitting and occasional yoga, isn't thrilled about clambering over roots and squatting behind thorny bushes. Oh, and everything smells. Not in a quaint outdoorsy way, more like wet fur, raw meat, and whatever just died over there. Your stomach grumbles. It's barely been 30 minutes, and your brain is already scrolling for DoorDash. You spot some berries. They look like blueberries, but they could also be nightshade, the OG ups plant. Did early humans eat these? Historians still debate how foragers distinguished between edible and deadly. You sniff, poke, and ultimately decide against it. Survival for now means going hungry. You crouch under a large tree root, trying to collect your thoughts, but everything around you keeps moving. Leaves rustle for no reason. Bugs seem larger, and that distant growl is definitely coming closer. You don't know what it is, but it's the kind of sound that makes every hair on your body announce its retirement. You clutch a branch more, out of emotional support than utility, and realize something else. You don't know how to make a weapon. Sure, you've seen flit-napping in documentaries, but now your hands are sweaty and shaky. You try to break a rock with another rock, and manage to send a shard flying into your thigh. Congratulations, you are now both weaponless and wounded. You look up and see smoke in the far distance. Smoke means fire. Fire means people. People means maybe help? Or maybe cannibals. But hey, what's life without a little danger? You trudge forward, past ferns the size of patio umbrellas. One slaps you in the face, and you almost apologize to it. There's movement behind you, and you glance back nothing. Or maybe something. You can't tell, because your modern eyes were trained to spot email notifications, not camouflaged predators. Eventually, you find a stream. Clear water rushes past polished stones, and for a moment, it's almost peaceful. You kneel down to drink, and whoops, you fall in. Now you're wet and shivering. Good job. Ancient humans probably had ritual dances more dignified than this. You crawl out, coughing, soaked to your core. You sit on a rock that's colder than your ex's last text, trying to warm your fingers. But the wind picks up, and suddenly you're not thinking, this is hard. You're thinking, this is how I die. The sky darkens. You thought it was noon, but time in the wild plays tricks. You look around for shelter, and all you find is a shallow hollow under a boulder, which smells like it's recently hosted something with claws. You back away slowly. As night creeps in, so does the realization. You're not in control. This world doesn't care if you scream, cry, or plead for mercy. It doesn't even know you exist. It's just here, timeless, relentless, and so are you. For now. You're cold, wet, and dramatically underprepared, but at least you're still breathing. For now. Your feet squish with every step, socks of mud between your toes, though socks implies a level of comfort and choice you absolutely do not have. The sky is turning from gray to darker gray, and the light is going fast. You need tools, real tools. You've seen movies where people strike stones together like it's no big deal, sparks flying, axes forming as if by magic. So you kneel beside the stream and begin your first lesson in Paleolithic DIY, flint knapping. The problem? You don't have flint, or obsidian, or any idea what those look like beyond kind of sharp. You grab 2 river stones round, dull and completely uncooperative, and start banging them together like a toddler with cymbals. Nothing happens except a loud thwack, and a chunk flies off, missing your eye by a miracle of physics. Congratulations. You're now one accident away from being the first person in history to give yourself a concussion during the Stone Age. You adjust, trying again. Hit it at an angle, right? That's what they say. Somehow you do manage to flake off a small edge. It's sort of sharp. You test it on a nearby stick. It scratches the bark a little. You feel a glimmer of pride, like a kindergartner holding their first macaroni painting. And then the stone crumbles in your hand. Historians still argue whether early humans learned tool-making by observation or endless trial and error. Based on your current performance, you'd vote lots of error. Maybe ancient folks had mentors or watched others before them. You've got wet hands, zero patience, and a growing urge to scream. But quitting means freezing to death, so you try again. After 20 minutes and a few more minor scrapes, you manage to chip 1 stone into something that might qualify as a cutting edge. Sort of. You turn to a small sapling, thinking, time to make a spear. It doesn't go well. You saw at the branch, the way you'd slice through packaging tape at home, and immediately realized 2 things. 1, this blade is more like a mildly offended pebble, and 2, trees in the Stone Age are built like Jim Brothers. You get halfway through the wood before the stone tool slips and carves into your palm. Blood beads up, cool. Now you're feeding the forest your DNA. You wrap your hand in a large leaf, hoping it's not secretly venomous. The leaf's sticky. That's probably fine, right? Or maybe you just invented the world's most painful bandage. Despite the injury, you manage to splinter a decent stick and wedge your barely sharp stone onto the end using wet vine fibers. You hold it up like it's Excalibur. It wobbles. Still, it's a thing. A tool. You whisper, "Behold, the spoon of destiny." You laugh because if you don't, you'll cry. This little triumph gives you the energy to move again. You push through underbrush, accidentally startling what looks like a small deer. You freeze. This is your moment. You raise your spear and throw. It travels an impressive 3 feet and bounces off a tree. The deer bolts, probably to go mock you in front of its friends. You sit down, winded. It hits you that just making something was exhausting. There's no hardware store here. Every single item, every single scrap of human convenience you've ever used, once started as a battle between flesh and rock. That cereal spoon? Blood was probably spilled for the tech that led to that. And you can't even make a spoon. The wind picks up. Night approaches. You huddle beneath a mossy ledge, clutching your dull spear like a teddy bear. Somewhere nearby, a branch snaps. Something large moves through the underbrush. It could be a wild boar. It could be a bear. It could be your imagination playing cruel tricks, which it now does constantly. You close your eyes, trying to block out the pain in your hand, the hunger clawing at your insides, and the creeping feeling that maybe, just maybe, you weren't made for this world. Of course, you weren't. No one with soft fingers and Spotify Premium is. The Stone Age doesn't care about playlists. It cares about grit, bone, and the will to strike again and again until the tool is born or you aren't. Somewhere in the dark, something howls. Not close, but not far either. You grip your wobbly weapon tighter and whisper to no one, "This is fine." You wake up to the sound of your own teeth chattering. Not metaphorically, literally. Each clack echoes inside your skull like a Morse code for, "I am very, very cold." Your mossy ledge shelter held up through the night, but did nothing for warmth. Your bare skin is now blotchy and numb in places you didn't even know could go numb. The sun isn't exactly rising. It's more like leaking over the horizon in pale orange streaks. And while the sky hints at morning, the air still bites like it's holding a grudge. You curl into yourself, rubbing your limbs, wondering if this is what bacon feels like just before it goes in the pan. Your breath fogs in front of you. Each inhale burns a little. Fun fact, temperatures in parts of the Paleolithic could drop well below freezing, especially during glacial periods. Historians still debate the exact dates of these cold spikes, but what's clear is this: your 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit body is way out of its depth. You need warmth, desperately. Back in your time, you just crank up the thermostat or wrap yourself in a fleece throw shaped like a tortilla. Now, you've got one damp leaf, a questionable stick spear, and a pulse that's slowing dangerously close to permanent nap. Your fingers, stiff and pink, fumble around for options. You remember the idea of animal hides early humans often used fur as insulation, sometimes layering pelts to survive the worst nights. But to wear a pelt, you must first have one. And to have one, well, let's just say your fashion sense requires a little murder. You hear a rustle nearby and spot a movement small, maybe a rabbit. Fur, glorious, fluffy, potentially life-saving fur. You raise your weapon, heart pounding, teeth still chattering, and creep forward. But the second your foot snaps a twig, the rabbit bolts with a speed that mocks physics. You stare after it, betrayed. You fall back, breath ragged, limbs trembling not just from cold now, but frustration. There's nothing quite like failing at survival before breakfast. You start to shiver again, but this time it's different, more rhythmic, like your body's last-ditch effort to generate heat. That's what shivering is. You recall your internal furnace attempting CPR. It's also a bad sign, especially when you can't feel your toes anymore. You need layers, any layers. You wrap your torso with long grasses, binding them with vines like you've seen in survival shows. It doesn't help much. The wind slips through every makeshift weave, giggling as it goes. Your feet are the worst. Each step feels like walking on icy needles. You try warming them in your hands, but your hands are no better. You curse softly, not that anyone can hear you. unless the squirrels have suddenly developed talent for English. Suddenly, you remember fire. Glorious, crackling, life-giving fire. And how, in this moment, you have none of it. Early humans figured it out. Sure, possibly as early as 1.7 million years ago, though whether they made it themselves or just harnessed natural fires is still up for debate. Either way, you're jealous of their skills. The sky lightens more, and with it, your anxiety deepens. Cold is one thing, but cold and movement? That's a cocktail for collapse. Still, you force yourself up, staggering forward like a haunted marionette. Every branch that brushes against you might as well be a slab of ice. Eventually, by sheer dumb luck, you stumble into a shallow cave moor of an overhang, really. But it's dry and out of the wind. You collapse against the stone, which, while not warm, is at least not moving air. You lie there a moment, eyes closed, daydreaming of electric blankets and steaming mugs. You can't sleep. That would be dangerous. But your body is already drifting, sluggish, and seduced by the possibility of rest. That's when you spot it. An old fire pit. Charcoal. Faint traces of ash. Someone was here, recently. You jolt upright. The possibility of others, of people, of fire, of fur, sends a jolt through you more powerful than caffeine ever could. But what if they're not friendly? What if they come back and see you, this shivering interloper, squatting in their heatless ruin? You stand slowly, look around. No signs of life. Yet, you crouch at the pit and try to fan the ash, just in case a coal remains. It doesn't. But you try anyway, rubbing twigs, blowing gently, praying to gods you don't believe in. Your hands cramp. You rub faster. Nothing. And that's when the snow begins to fall. Just a few flakes at first, lazy and almost poetic. Then more. And more, until the air is thick with silence and white. You hold your breath, the gravity of your situation now colder than the wind. A storm is coming, and you are not ready. You look at the entrance to the cave. You'll stay here tonight. Try again tomorrow, if there is a tomorrow, because honestly, you're already halfway gone. By morning, the cave entrance has a crust of snow like someone frosted it out of spite. The flakes keep drifting down, slow and lazy, mocking you with how peaceful they look. You, meanwhile, are a human popsicle in a half-frozen fetal position. When you finally move, every joint clicks like you've aged 70 years overnight. Your fingers are swollen, your feet tingling in that suspicious soon-to-go numb forever kind of way. You mutter a shaky good morning to the empty cave like it's your therapist. Your stomach roars. It's not a polite growl anymore. It's a full-on protest. Yesterday's fast has turned into a hunger strike, and your body is staging a rebellion. If you don't eat something soon, you'll be eating yourself, metabolically speaking. Time to forage. You step outside into the crunchy snow, your breath making puffs like little ghosts. You scan the forest floor, which is mostly buried under white. Occasionally, something green peeks out, but plants in winter are deceptive. That mossy patch? Just wet disappointment. That cluster of red berries? Beautifully poisonous. Historians still debate how early humans learned which plants to trust, and which were essentially edible lies. Trial and error? Elders passing down knowledge? Visions from the spirit world? Whatever it was, you don't have it. You find a small clump of mushrooms beneath a fallen log. They look edible-ish. Brown caps, dry stems. But are they the kind that nourish, or the kind that make your liver wave goodbye? You sniff one. It smells like dirt. That tells you nothing. You break a piece off and touch it to your lip. No burn, no sting. Encouraged, You pop a tiny bit in your mouth. It tastes like wet cardboard and fear. You wait. 10 seconds. 30. No hallucinations. No sudden urge to write cave poetry. You eat a bit more, enough to ease the edge of hunger. Congrats, you've possibly survived breakfast. But mushrooms aren't protein. You need meat, or fish, or something that once had a heartbeat. So, armed with your sad spear and an even sadder determination, you begin the hunt. Spoiler, you are not a good hunter. You sneak well, stomp through the underbrush, watching for movement. Your foot slips on an icy root and you land with a grunt. Somewhere nearby, a flock of birds explodes into the air. Great, your stealth rating just dropped to 0. Eventually, you spot something. A squirrel. Glorious, meaty, bushy-tailed protein. It sits on a branch, nibbling something smugly. You slowly raise your spear, take aim, channel every fantasy movie you've ever seen, and throw. Your spear veers left. Hard left. Like completely unrelated direction left. It lands in a bush, scaring up a rabbit that you also don't hit. You fall to your knees, defeated. Hunger makes your thoughts sluggish. Your head swims. You start imagining modern food commercials, melty cheese, sizzling bacon, that slow-motion ketchup swirl. You would kill for a stale vending machine granola bar right now. In desperation, you turn to insects. Yes, insects. You find a few large beetles beneath a rock. Crunchy, glossy, nightmare fuel, but packed with protein. Early humans probably dined on these frequently. Some tribes still do. You stare one down like it just insulted your mother. Then you pop it in your mouth. Crunch. It tastes like wood varnish and dirt. You gag, but keep chewing. Because this, tragically, is now your reality. Further down the path, you discover a frozen pond. The ice is thin, but beneath it, movement. Fish. You nearly cry. Actual fish. Cold-blooded hope. You grab a broken branch and sharpen it against a rock better than your earlier spear, marginally. You lie belly down at the pond's edge, eyes trained on the water, breath fogging the surface. A shadow glides beneath the ice. You wait, focus. Time slows. And then you strike. The spear hits the ice and bounces. The fish swims away, entirely unimpressed. You slam the spear again and crack the surface. Water seeps through. You reach down, but the cold hits like a punch to the bones. You scream through clenched teeth, yanking your arm out. Your hand is red, trembling, and dripping with failure. You wrap it in your shirt sari, your grass cape, and shuffle back to the cave. On the way, you chew on bark, literally, not because you think it's food, just to feel like you're doing something. Sitting in your shelter, shivering and gnawing on despair, you reflect. Early humans must have had strategies, rituals, something to help them get food every day. Maybe they worked in groups. Maybe they were just better at not missing with the spear. You've been out here barely 2 days, and you've eaten mushrooms, beetles, and one accidental pine needle. Your stomach groans like it's filing a complaint. And honestly, it has a point. You awaken again, but this time, the hunger has a new companion. Aspiration. The sun filters weakly through the cave entrance, casting long shadows over your shivering body. The snow outside has only thickened, burying the landscape in a blanket of cold that seems determined to make this entire situation a permanent one. You stretch, but it's more of an awkward wiggle. Your muscles are stiff, more like they're protesting your existence than stretching to prepare for action. There's no rush, though. You know that. The wild doesn't operate on your schedule, and honestly, neither does your body anymore. You rub your face with both hands. No warmth, no lotion. Just raw skin against a raw world. Your nose runs, but there's no way to wipe it. So you just sniffle. Lovely. The epitome of human grace. Time to face reality. You need to find food. That's it. That's the task. Everything else can wait. Shelter, warmth, and maybe a small hope of not getting mauled by a bear before you drop dead from malnutrition. Those can wait too. But food? You need it. You step outside the cave, your feet crunching into the fresh snow like a cruel reminder of how ill-prepared you are for this world. The forest feels more menacing today. Perhaps it's the silence. Or maybe it's because your hunger has turned every sound, every rustle, every snap into a potential predator. Everything out here is either food or will be food. Your mind drifts back to the mushrooms. If only you had more confidence in that meal. Maybe today you'll try those berries, the ones that look so innocent, but could send you into a dark, leafy grave. You decide against it. You've had enough brushes with potential death for the day. As you move deeper into the woods, you start considering all the ways you might die out here. Not if, but how. An animal. Hypothermia. Lack of nutrition. Honestly, any of them would make a strong case. And that's when you hear the crack of a branch from behind. Your stomach flips. You freeze, body rigid with alert. You're not alone. Is it a person? An animal? The prospect of meeting another human is both exciting and terrifying. On the one hand, they could be your salvation. On the other, you've read enough survival stories to know that human interaction in the wilderness can be more dangerous than being mauled by a bear. You turn slowly, spear clutched in your trembling hands. Through the trees, you spot a figure, a silhouette, crouched low, moving deliberately. At first, you're relieved. It's another human. But as the figure steps into the light, you see the unmistakable outline of a spear knoll, a spear and a bundle of fur draped over their shoulders. It's not a friendly encounter. It's a hostile one. This is not the time for diplomacy. You've seen enough to know that. You've heard of these nomadic tribes, hunting parties, scavengers, wanderers who do not take kindly to strangers in their territory. There's a lesson somewhere in that look, somewhere in the way they're eyeing you. Your heart beats faster as you retreat, the weight of your failure crushing down on you. You don't even need to look back. You know they've seen you. The tribal hunter stands tall, a blur of fur and bone, raising their weapon. You panic, your thoughts spiraling. Your spear is pathetic, and you are helpless. Your breath quickens. This is it, your last moment. Your very last, desperate stand. Suddenly, the sound of rushing feet, the crack of twigs, snaps you back to reality. The other hunter has started to close the distance. You, instinctively, know you have two choices, fight or flee. You turn, adrenaline coursing through your veins, and sprint through the snow. You manage to keep a decent pace. The forest is thick, and the snow muffles the sound of footsteps behind you. But you can still hear the chase, a constant reminder that you're prey. A wild, unpredictable beast, hunting its dinner. You dodge between trees, your breath ragged in the thin, cold air. Every step burns your muscles. Your body protests, urging you to stop, to give in. The woods blur in your peripheral vision, but you keep running. You have no choice but to run. Finally, after what feels like an eternity, the sounds behind you start to fade. You pause. Your chest heaves as you crouch beneath a low-hanging branch, hoping it'll conceal you for just a few more seconds. Your eyes scan the trees. The hunter's footsteps are gone. You hold your breath. You're safe for now. But there's a deeper realization creeping in the woods have no mercy. Humans, animals, or the elements themselves, they're all part of this system that doesn't care whether you live or die. If you want to survive, you must either adapt or perish. You stand up and start walking again, feeling the numbness of defeat settle in. The fight isn't over, but it might as well be. You trudge forward exhausted. The weight of your hunger feels like a constant companion, gnawing at you, trying to drag you down into the very earth itself. Each step is a reminder that you are nothing more than a fragile animal in this harsh world. Yet you keep moving, because what else is there to do? You walk aimlessly, your mind clouded with the thought of survival. You can hear your pulse in your ears, the sound of blood pumping in a body that seems less and less capable of holding up under the strain. The early humans you've read about in books, they must have had something you didn't. Resilience, experience, knowledge of their world. You were dropped into this place like a human experiment, clueless and vulnerable. The forest is quiet now, no longer a place of vibrant danger. It's as if the world around you is holding its breath, waiting for you to make the next move. You wonder if the animals know something you don't, if they understand the rhythms of this place. You, on the other hand, can't even find the right kind of food, let alone the strength to get it. You spot a group of trees ahead, their bare branches clawing at the sky. It's a forest within a forest, almost like a grove, and you move toward it, hoping for some form of shelter, or perhaps a sign that you're not entirely doomed. The cold isn't as biting here, sheltered by the trees, and the snow is thinner. Maybe you'll find a path or a way out of this wilderness of endless white and unrelenting cold. As you step into the grove, you notice something strange. A pile of bones. A grave, perhaps? You approach cautiously, careful to keep your distance. The bones are old, worn smooth by time, their white edges still sharp despite the years. It doesn't take much to see that these were once animals. Maybe a deer, maybe something bigger. The pile is covered with leaves and dirt, like someone had tried to bury it, but time and the elements had other plans. The eerie silence of the grove presses against you, and for a moment, you forget about your hunger, your wounds, your fear. The bones seem to whisper a warning, but what exactly is it? The message is unclear, but there's no mistaking the sense of foreboding that grows within you. This place has seen death. It doesn't care about you. You're just another body that could end up here. Another pile of bones to be scattered by the wind. You shiver, not from the cold, but from something deeper, more primal. Maybe you're not just fighting to survive against the wilderness, against the elements, against animals. Maybe the real fight is against the feeling of hopelessness creeping into your heart, trying to convince you that the game is over before it's even begun. But you're still here, barely. You take a step back from the bones, gathering your strength, mentally preparing yourself for whatever comes next. The sun is slipping lower in the sky, the day waning quickly. Night will fall soon, and with it, the threats of the dark predators, hypothermia, the weight of your own failure. A gust of wind picks up, shaking the trees and sending leaves spiraling into the air. The world seems to exhale. You exhale too, releasing the tension from your body, allowing yourself just a second of peace. You know it won't last. Survival is a game of seconds, of choices. Right now, your best choice is to keep moving. You leave the grove behind and head back into the woods. It feels like you've already walked miles, and yet the place remains unchanged. Everything feels the same, cold, silent, and vast. The monotony of the landscape is almost as suffocating as the cold. Your stomach growls again, more insistent this time. The beetles were hardly enough, and whatever small meal you had yesterday seems to have evaporated. Your muscles feel like they're made of lead, and the headache that's been growing behind your eyes is now a constant, dull throb. You try to push it aside, but you know the truth. You're fading. This is how it happens. You starve, you freeze, or you fall prey to the wilds. Somewhere deep in your gut, a voice whispers to you, maybe it's time to stop. Maybe you've done enough. You reject the thought. You can't give up. Not yet. You have no choice but to keep moving forward, one step at a time, no matter how impossible it seems. It's the only option left. You finally spot something movement up ahead, a small figure darting between trees. A rabbit? Maybe. You move toward it, cautiously at first, then quicker as the possibility of food spikes your adrenaline. Your spear feels awkward in your hands, but you grip it tight, prepared to make your move. You approach, staying low, keeping your body hidden behind the underbrush. The rabbit hops, unaware of your presence. You creep closer, a predator once again. Your heart races. And then, just as you prepare to strike, the rabbit turns, and there's no more rabbit. A predator has already claimed it. A wolf, or something like it. You freeze as the large, sinewy creature emerges from the brush, eyes locked on you. You've intruded. You've broken the wild's fragile balance. For a moment, you both stand there, locked in a stare that's centuries old. Man versus beast. And in that moment, you know what comes next. One of you has to leave. And you'd better be fast. You feel your heart hammer in your chest as the wolf, its fur matted with the remnants of your would-be meal locks eyes with you. The world sharpens around you, every detail becoming painfully clear. The way the animal's breath puffs out in the cold air, the raw, wild intelligence flickering in its gaze, the way the muscles in its legs flex, preparing for the sprint that will decide who gets to leave this place alive. For a moment, time seems to slow. Your legs are rooted to the ground. Your spear feels laughably inadequate. It's nothing but a crooked stick, sharp at one end, but untested, unworthy of facing a creature so perfectly suited to this life of survival. The wolf's growl vibrates the air. It's low, a warning, but there's no fear in its voice, just calculation. This is its world, not yours. And it knows you're out of place here, a trespasser with no tools, no tribe, no chance. You try to steady your breath. You think of running, but your feet refuse to move. You can't run from this. Not now. If you turn your back, you're done. So you do the only thing you can think of. You raise your spear, your hands shaking, your whole body trembling under the weight of the moment. The wolf takes a step forward, then another. It's testing you, gauging your resolve, and every step it takes feels like it's pushing you further into the corner of your mind, where panic waits. Your thoughts scramble, searching for anything that could help you survive this. The wolf's eyes glimmer with hunger, and for the first time in your life, you feel the true, primal weight of being prey. Then, almost instinctively, you remember something you read once in a book or saw on a survival show. When cornered, you fight. But you don't just fight. You fight smart. You don't just throw a spear and hope it lands. You find an advantage, any advantage, and you use it. The wolf is faster. It's stronger. But it's not expecting you to make the first move. With a burst of adrenaline, you lunge forward. It's not graceful, it's not pretty, but you thrust your spear towards the animal. It catches the wolf off guard. The sharp point grazes its side, just enough to draw blood. The wolf snarls in pain and surprise, its eyes flashing with fury. It's not enough to stop it. The creature recoils, momentarily confused, but only for a second. And in that second, you turn and run, no more thinking, just survival instinct kicking in. You bolt through the underbrush, pushing your body as fast as it can go, ignoring the burning in your legs, the sharp branches that lash across your face, the cold air that fills your lungs like needles. The wolf doesn't follow immediately, but you don't look back. You can hear it behind you, crashing through the trees, gaining ground. You push harder. You make a sharp turn, hoping to lose it in the thick forest. But the world is so unforgiving, and you're already so close to the edge of your strength. The snow crunches beneath your feet. The wind howls in your ears. You can feel it in the pit of your stomach, the sure knowledge that you can't outrun this. You can't outrun the wild. You can't outrun the way everything out here is designed to break you down until you're nothing. And then, as you start to slow, your mind already dimming, you realize something you should have known all along. The wolf isn't just hunting you. It's a reminder that out here, you're just another animal. And the world doesn't care if you've watched survival shows or read books about the Stone Age. Out here, there's no special treatment for the soft and the weak. You are just flesh and bone, and the wilderness doesn't care if you're tired or scared or hungry. You stumble forward, breath ragged. The edge of the forest comes into view, a clearing. You don't know what's there, but it might be your only shot. You reach it, only to see a new challenge. A steep drop, a cliff leading down to jagged rocks below. There's no way around it, and in the distance, you hear the wolf closing in. Your only choice? Keep running, and hope the fall isn't fatal. You don't hesitate. You throw yourself forward, arms outstretched, bracing for impact. The world tilts as you leap, the ground beneath you disappearing, and then everything is just a blur of white and green. And for one terrifying, dizzying moment, you don't know if you're flying or falling. And then everything goes dark. You don't remember hitting the ground. You don't remember the tumble, the crash, or the way your body folded upon itself. All you know is that, when you wake up, the world feels softer somehow. Your body aches in places it shouldn't, but the pain is muted, distant. Your thoughts come in slow bursts, like someone trying to wake you up from a dream. Only the dream feels more real than the waking world. You open your eyes to a blur of snow and sky. For a second, you wonder if you've died. If this is some kind of afterlife, where things are colder, emptier. The wind stirs the snow around you, the quiet too heavy. But no, you can still feel the cold creeping into your skin. You still feel the burning in your ribs, the soreness in your limbs. And most telling of all, you can still hear your heartbeat, thumping slowly in your chest like a reminder that you're still here. You're still alive. You blink several times, clearing the fog from your vision. The world comes into focus, but it's a blur of white. Snow everywhere. Your face is pressed into the snow, your body sprawled in a half-conscious heap at the base of the cliff. You can't move for a few moments, unable to gather the energy to push yourself up. Every inch of you is heavy, weighed down by exhaustion and the raw aftershocks of the fall. You think of the wolf, of the hunt, of the cliff. The memory feels distant, but still sharp. It's a reminder of how close you were to death. And now you're here, alive somehow, against all odds. But for how long? A wave of dizziness rolls over you, and you press your palms into the snow, pushing yourself up. You're lying at the edge of a small ravine. The steep drop you just leapt from is behind you, still towering above. The world around you feels vast. There's a feeling of emptiness, like being in the belly of the wilderness with nothing but snow and silence to fill the void. You tried to stand, but your legs are rubbery. the muscles protesting as though they've given up entirely. It's hard to focus, hard to steady yourself. Your body is weak, too weak to keep up this frantic pace. You thought you were prepared, but everything is harder now. Every movement, every breath, every step feels like it's costing more than you have. You sit back down on a rock, more out of necessity than choice. Your mind begins to work again, slowly at first. You need shelter. You need warmth. But most importantly, you need food. You haven't eaten properly in days, and your body is running on fumes. You can feel it in the way your stomach growls, in the weakness that has crept into your bones. If you don't find something soon, you won't make it much longer. You look around the ravine. The landscape here is different, rocky and jagged, with sparse vegetation creeping out from the crevices. It's not much, but maybe there's something you can use. Maybe there's some small creature you can catch, or a plant that won't poison you. And then, as if on cue, something moves in the distance. You freeze, your breath catching in your throat. A deer, not far away, grazing on the edge of the ravine. Its back is turned to you, unaware of your presence. This is your chance. You grip the spear that you've been dragging along with you, its sharp end still weak from your earlier failures. You get up slowly, creeping toward it, making sure each step is as quiet as possible. Every instinct tells you to run, to dash forward with all the energy you can muster. But you know that'll only scare it. You need to be patient, precise. The deer isn't going to wait for you. It's your only chance. You kneel behind a rock, trying to steady your breath, trying to calm your racing heart. The deer is still feeding, its head down, unaware. The wind is in your favor, carrying your scent away, though you know it won't last. The moment you make a sound, it'll bolt. The tension builds, the seconds feeling like hours as you wait for the perfect opportunity. Finally, after what seems like an eternity, the deer lifts its head, looking off in the distance. It's a split second, the moment you've been waiting for. With everything you have left, you push yourself forward, spear in hand. You take a deep breath and throw. The spear flies, its trajectory slightly off, but still sharp enough to strike. It hits the deer, not deep, but enough to send it into a panic. The animal bolts, but not fast enough. It stumbles, its legs weak. You chase after it, pushing your body beyond its limits. Your legs scream. Your breath is ragged, but you're closing the distance. You can't let this opportunity slip away. Finally, with a final lunge, you throw yourself at the deer, knocking it down to the ground. You're on top of it now, your hands desperately grabbing its neck. You feel the struggle, the fight for survival happening between you and this creature. But you're not going to let it win. You hold tight, your vision blurring from the effort. And then, in the stillness that follows, you realize you've won. You've caught your first meal, and you're not just surviving anymore. You're starting to understand this world, the wilderness, its rhythm, the way it works. And for the first time, you realize that maybe, just maybe, you can make it. The weight of the deer's body in your hands is a strange, surreal sensation. It's both solid and fragile at the same time. This life now extinguished by your desperate grasp. Its struggle has stopped, but you can still feel the pulse of survival between your own ribs, rapid and insistent. You've won, but at what cost? You sit back, breathing heavily, your hands covered in the warm blood of the animal. It's a sobering, primal reality that feels both victorious and deeply humbling. This is what survival is: a constant push, a constant fight. And now you have food. It's the kind of food that will sustain you, but only if you know how to use it. And you don't. Not really. Not yet. For a moment, You just sit there, staring at the deer. You think about all the tools you've tried to make, all the mistakes you've made in this wild world. None of them mattered as much as this moment. This is the point where it all comes together: your will, your mind, your body. The world has been trying to break you, to turn you into a piece of meat in a hungry, uncaring system. But here, in this instant, you've beaten it. For now. But then the reality of the task sets in. The deer needs to be prepared. You can't just drag it back to your cave and eat it whole well. You could, but that would be a disaster. Your lack of tools is a heavy weight again. Your spear won't do much to help with this. Your hands? Too untrained, too human, to tear through flesh with the precision of a hunter-gatherer. Still, you begin. There's no turning back now. You sit up, drawing your spear to the animal's side, attempting to pry away the skin. It's harder than you expected, more complex than you imagined. You make an awkward incision, and the blood pools around you, warm and thick. You have no proper knife, no blade to carve with. All you have is your makeshift weapon, your trembling hands, and the desperate will to survive. You rip through the hide, and the meat comes into view, a raw, unrefined treasure. Your stomach twists in anticipation. It's been days since you've eaten properly, and the hunger gnaws at you, relentless and unforgiving. But as you look at the raw, bloody meat before you, something primal stirs inside of you. The very sight of it disgusts you, but it also calls to you. This is survival. This is what the world expects. You weren't prepared for this, but you have no choice. You manage to break off a small chunk of meat, your hands slick with blood. You bring it to your mouth, your teeth sinking into it. It's tough, too tough. You chew, but your stomach rebels at the unfamiliar texture. The animal's rawness, the way it clings to your teeth, is unnatural. Yet you keep chewing, keep forcing your body to accept what it needs to survive. It's the taste of life, after all. You've heard stories of people in the wild, of those who've been pushed to the edge of existence. They say that eating raw meat sometimes, even just the blood, can bring a sense of connection to the world around you. A realization that you're a part of the cycle of life and death, the endless loop of predator and prey. As your stomach groans and your mind spins with the effort of digesting, you wonder if those stories are true. Do they really feel that connection? Or is it just a survival mechanism, a biological compulsion to convince themselves that this is the only way? Either way, you don't have time to think about it. The animal's carcass lies before you, still warm but cooling quickly in the bitter cold. You know you need to eat as much as you can, store as much as you can, because the cold will take it all away. You don't have fire yet. You haven't figured that out. But for now, the meat is enough. Enough to give you strength. Enough to keep you moving. Enough to get through another day. You finish the small piece you've torn off, the blood now crusting on your lips, and sit back for a moment to collect your thoughts. You feel a strange sense of peace. This is how the world works. Life is always trying to consume you, and you're always trying to consume it back. It's as simple as that. Survival isn't about mastery, about skill or grace. It's about persistence, about not giving in to the endless forces that want to break you. You finish what you can, then set the rest of the meat aside. You need to rest. You need to think about what comes next. The carcass won't keep forever in the open air, and you don't want to waste any of it. You need shelter, warmth, fire. Without those, you'll lose what little you've gained. But for now, you lie back, looking up at the sky. It's still gray, still cold. The wind bites at your exposed skin. Yet there's a feeling inside of you now, a sense that you might just make it. Not because you're clever, Not because you're resourceful, but because you refuse to give up. You can feel it in your bones. You won't let the wilderness defeat you. Not today. And with that, you close your eyes, letting the exhaustion of the past few days wash over you. For a moment, just a moment, you allow yourself to rest. You've earned it. When you wake, the world feels different. The wind has picked up, and it's no longer just a nuisance. It's an assault. Your body aches from the fall, from the hunger, and now from the cold. You barely slept, your mind flicking between exhaustion and the harsh realities of your survival. And yet, there's something else that lingers beneath it all. A flicker of hope. You're still alive. You've made it this far. And for once, in the desolate expanse of snow and rocks, you feel like you might stand a chance at making it through the next day. You sit up and look around, the smell of blood still heavy in the air, mingling with the fresh sting of snow. Your eyes fall on the deer carcass now, a heap of vulnerability. You're not foolish enough to think you're the only predator around here. Even if the wolves didn't catch you in your sprint, something else might. The scavengers are always lurking, waiting for their turn at the feast. But there's no time to be sentimental about it. You need to move. The sun hasn't risen yet, but the sky's light has shifted, signaling the approach of dawn. You gather your bearings, pushing the lingering weariness aside, and start to stand. It's slow, deliberate. Your body protests with every movement, but you ignore it. You've learned to. The meat needs to be processed before it spoils. You make a mental note to figure out fire later after you've secured the meat. For now, you set to work with what you have, carving what you can from the deer, making sure to take the innards too. The organ meats are nutrient-dense, and the fat will keep you going for a long while. You haven't figured out how to store it, but you'll cross that bridge when you get to it. For now, you take what you can and wrap the meat in snow-covered leaves, hoping the cold will preserve it for a while. Your stomach grumbles again, more urgently this time. You've eaten enough, but it's not enough to calm the hunger. You need more. You need to keep going. You can't stop. The primal instinct rises inside you. Move, hunt. Survive, pushing you to your feet, despite the weakness that still clings to your limbs. Your spear feels heavier now, but it's your best chance. You're no longer hoping for a successful hunt. You're trying to stay one step ahead of the wilderness. The sun's light is still dim, but it's enough to navigate by. You head toward the ridge, where you remember seeing some movement earlier in the day. Something about the way the land dips there, the rock formations, the thick brush tells you this is where you need to go. If there's more game to be had, this is where you'll find it. The air is thin, the wind fierce as it bites through your clothing. Your skin is raw and red from the cold, and every step feels like it's dragging you backward, but you don't stop. You can't. You climb slowly, testing each foothold, pulling yourself up with every ounce of strength left in you. The rocks are sharp beneath your fingers, the terrain rugged and unforgiving. You think of your cozy apartment, your comfortable bed, the warm cup of coffee you'll never drink again. You can almost taste it, that small comfort, and then it's gone, replaced by the bitter reality of the mountain before you. At the ridge's top, you pause. The wind bites at your face, but you have the advantage of higher ground now. You look out over the landscape. The forest stretches out below you, vast and unforgiving, but there's something else too. The forest isn't just a place of danger, it's a place of life. You can see tracks in the snow, a deer trail, perhaps a larger predators too. There's hope here. Food is out there, waiting for you to claim it. You spot a small herd of deer grazing in the distance. They're unaware of your presence, distracted by their own survival. You take a deep breath, steadying yourself. This is your moment. You can't miss. Your muscles are sore, but they still respond. Your legs, though shaky, carry you toward them. You move swiftly but quietly, like a shadow, using the terrain to your advantage. The snow softens the sound of your steps, masking your approach. For once, the forest seems to be on your side. You focus on the closest deer, the largest one, standing apart from the others. You lower yourself, careful not to make a sound. You know what you have to do? This is the moment of truth. You pull your spear tight in your hands, preparing for the throw. A deer lifts its head. Your heart skips a beat. This is it. Your moment. You throw. It's a clean shot, but the deer jerks away at the last second. The spear grazes its side, not deep enough to bring it down. The herd panics, scattering in every direction. You stand frozen for a second, the adrenaline pumping in your veins, the realization that you've missed setting in. You curse under your breath, frustration building in your chest. But you don't give up. You can't afford to. You gather yourself and set off after them, pushing your body to move faster than it wants to. Your muscles burn with every step, but you keep moving. You keep hunting. You round a cluster of trees and spot the same deer slower now, weaker from the graze. You've caught up. This time, you don't miss. You rush forward, your spear finding its mark. The deer collapses to the ground, and you stand over it, panting heavily, chest heaving. The world around you falls silent for a brief moment. The realization settling in. You've done it. You've hunted. You've provided for yourself. You kneel beside the animal, taking a moment to process the enormity of what just happened. In the silence, you can hear your heartbeat, feel the thrum of life running through you. You're not just surviving anymore. You're becoming a part of this world. The animal's body is still warm as you begin your work. It's slow, painful, and your hands tremble from exhaustion. But you know what you're doing now. You know how to carve, how to skin, how to take what you need to survive. There's no fear in this anymore, just necessity. And that, strangely, is enough. The days blur together as you continue your fight to survive. You've learned the rhythms of this new world, even if you never quite get used to them. The cold still bites, but now you know how to layer your clothing, how to seek shelter before the sun slips away. You've learned to trust your instincts, even if they still tremble with fear at every sound. The wind howls through the trees like a predator lurking just beyond sight, but you've learned to ignore it, to keep your focus. Your body, once soft and unused to the harsh demands of the wilderness, has hardened. The muscles in your legs and arms have toughened, your hands calloused from the repetitive motions of building and hunting. Your face is wine-burned, your skin roughened by the constant exposure to the elements. But you're still here. You're still standing. And that alone is a victory. You've found a rhythm. Every day, you wake with the sun, or what little of it you can see through the gray clouds. You go through your routine, hunting, gathering, checking the traps you've set, and then returning to your shelter. The cave has become your home, though you've learned to keep it clean, to make it more livable. You've even managed to build a small fire, though it's a precarious thing. A few sticks, some flint, and a whole lot of trial and error. But it burns, and that warmth, small as it is, feels like an accomplishment. The meat from your hunts doesn't last as long as you'd hoped, but you've become more adept at preparing it, at saving what you can. You've learned to cook it, or at least warm it over the fire, though the taste remains harsh and unfamiliar. There are still plenty of days when hunger gnaws at you, reminding you that this world doesn't care if you're tired or weary. It will keep testing you until you break. And yet, you endure. because you must. One morning, after a particularly long stretch of cold weather, you step outside to find the forest transformed. The snow has melted in patches, revealing patches of green, though the ground is still soft and wet. You've never seen the world look so different. The trees seem more alive, the air less biting. It's the first time in a while that you've felt the sun on your face, even if it's just a fleeting moment of warmth. You decide to explore. You gather what little you can your spear, a few dried pieces of meat, a couple of leaves to use as a makeshift bag, and set off into the forest. The world feels open, like there's a promise in the air. Maybe there's more out there. Maybe you'll find something you've been missing, something that will make life a little easier. The forest is quiet as you walk, the snow now only a memory beneath the layers of fallen leaves and damp earth. The sound of birds fills the air, their calls echoing from the trees. It's a reminder that life goes on here, that the wilderness is alive, teeming with creatures that have learned to adapt and thrive. You come to a small clearing, where the earth is soft and the grass is thick and green. You stop, taking in the scene. For the first time in what feels like forever, you feel a sense of peace. There's a small stream running through the clearing, its water clear and cold. You kneel beside it, cupping your hands to drink, and as you do, you catch a glimpse of something movement. A flash of brown and white. Your eyes narrow as you follow the motion. And there, at the edge of the clearing, you see a group of deer grazing. They're not far, but they're close enough to pose a challenge. Your heartbeat quickens, but this time, it's not fear. It's anticipation. You know this hunt will be different. You take a deep breath, steadying yourself. You can't afford to rush. You can't afford to miss. You creep forward, staying low to the ground, using the cover of the trees to hide your movement. You're good at this now, at blending in with the forest, at becoming part of it. The deer don't notice you, focused on the sweet grass and leaves they're consuming. As you move, you calculate the distance, the wind direction, the deer's behavior. Every instinct you've learned, every lesson the wilderness has taught you, comes rushing to the surface. You raise your spear, heart pounding in your chest. This is it. You can do this. You throw. The spear sails through the air, its point sharp and true. The deer jerks as it's struck, stumbling and crashing to the ground. The herd scatters, but you've done it. The hunt is over. You've brought down your prey. You stand over the animal, chest heaving, your breath a cloud in the cold air. The weight of the hunt settles over you, a strange sense of accomplishment mixing with the exhaustion that fills every part of your body. But this time, it's different. You've won. You've learned to survive. And in the quiet aftermath, as you kneel beside the deer, you realize that, for the first time, you feel a deep connection to this world. You've become part of it, and that is more than enough. The hunt has changed you. The exhaustion that follows is deeper now, more profound, as if the entire weight of the wilderness rests on your shoulders. But it's not the kind of exhaustion that comes from failure. This is the exhaustion of someone who has finally earned their place in the world. You've hunted, you've eaten, and you've survived. You're still standing, still fighting, still living. It's hard to believe how far you've come since that first terrifying day. The days when you thought you'd never make it. When every step seemed like an impossible challenge, and every breath was a battle against the cold. Now those days feel like a distant memory. They'd belong to someone else, someone who was weaker, someone who didn't know how to listen to the land. You are no longer that person. You are a part of this world now, a part of the ancient dance of life and death. And the wild? It still wants to claim you. But now you know how to fight back. After the hunt, You return to your shelter, your heart still pounding with the thrill of the chase. The adrenaline fades, but the satisfaction remains. The deer you've brought down is a gift, a prize, a symbol of your perseverance. You've gained something from the land, but it's not just the meat, it's the knowledge. The knowledge that you can survive. You can do this. You set to work, cleaning the animal with practiced hands. The bones, the organs, the meat you work efficiently, storing what you can. You've learned how to preserve the food, how to carve it, how to make it last. You know the basics now, how to use every part of the animal. Nothing goes to waste. The fire crackles nearby, warming your chilled skin, offering its warmth as a small comfort. You're not comfortable, not really, not yet, but there's a new kind of peace settling inside of you, one that's built on raw survival and hard-earned lessons. You can rest tonight. The fire will keep you warm, and the food will feed you for days. The world outside may be harsh and unforgiving, but for now, it's enough. You've earned this moment of reprieve. You sit by the fire, your back against the cool stone of the cave, looking out into the wilderness. The wind howls outside, but you're safe for now. You have your shelter, your fire, and food. You've made it. For the first time in a long while, you allow yourself to think of home, the world you once knew, the comfort of warm rooms, the hum of city life, the softness of a bed. You think of those things fondly now, but they no longer feel like your world. This is your world now, the one filled with dirt and snow, with cold nights and the constant push to stay alive. And that's all right. You've learned to find peace in this world, in the rhythms of the wild, in the struggle to survive. This world may never be easy, but it's yours. You've made it yours. The fire flickers, casting long shadows across the walls of your cave. The light dances in the quiet, creating shapes that seem to move with the rhythm of the night. It's peaceful in a way that nothing else has been. And as you sit there, your hands still bloody from the hunt, you finally understand what the ancient ones must have felt. The connection to this land, this survival, this constant struggle for existence. You've survived the worst of it, but you know the wild has more to teach you. It's never done testing you. But you're different now. You're stronger, smarter, and more prepared than ever before. You are not the person who stepped into this wilderness weeks ago. You are someone who belongs here, who knows how to survive, how to fight, and how to thrive in the face of impossible odds. And as the fire crackles and the wind howls outside, you smile to yourself. The first genuine smile in what feels like forever. You are alive. You have made it. Tomorrow will come, and you will face it, as you faced everything before with determination, with strength, and with the knowledge that you can make it. This is just the beginning. The days continue, each one blurring into the next, until you lose track of time altogether. You're no longer counting the hours, no longer measuring your life in the small increments of the world you once knew. Out here, everything exists in a much slower, more immediate pace. The days are endless cycles, and each one feels like its own little eternity. There's no distinction between yesterday and tomorrow, not when each moment is wrapped up in survival, in the sheer will to keep going. The hunt has become routine, though you know you can never let your guard down. The wilderness doesn't offer the comfort of predictability. Every hunt could be your last. Every movement could lead you into danger, but you've adapted. You've learned to move quietly, to blend into the forest like a shadow. The deer, the smaller prey, even the predators, they're all part of the ecosystem now. You understand them. You know when to strike, when to wait, and when to retreat. Your body is no longer that of the soft, untested person who first arrived in this wilderness. The muscles in your arms and legs are defined now, your hands rough and calloused from constant work. Your skin has toughened, no longer as sensitive to the biting cold. You've grown stronger, leaner, faster. The wilderness has shaped you into something else. You can feel it in the way you move, in the confidence that comes with every step. You're not the same person who once feared this place. You're part of it now. But as your body changes, so does your mind. You've become more focused, more attuned to the rhythms of nature, to the patterns of life and death around you. You can hear the whispers of the wind in the trees, the faintest rustle of the underbrush, the distant calls of animals that once seemed so foreign to you. You know when something's nearby before you even see it. It's like the land itself has become your companion, a silent partner that guides you through the dark and the cold. You've stopped thinking about the world you left behind. The memory of soft beds, hot meals, and human comforts has faded into the background like a forgotten dream. Sometimes, when you sit by the fire and the wind howls outside your shelter, you remember the simplicity of a warm house, a steady job, a life that didn't require this constant struggle. But then the wind shifts, and the moment passes, replaced by the sharp reality of the wilderness. One evening, as the sky darkens and the stars begin to twinkle overhead, you sit outside your shelter, staring into the fire. The flames dance, casting shadows around you. The night is alive with sound crickets chirping, the rustling of leaves, the occasional call of an owl or coyote. There's a strange comfort in the noise. It's the music of the wild, a reminder that life continues, that the cycle of existence never stops. You sit back, your fingers tracing the stone of your shelter. You've made it your home now, a place of safety in a world that doesn't offer much of that. It's not perfect, but it's yours. You've carved out a space for yourself in the wilderness, and you've earned it. You think about how far you've come since that first desperate day, when everything was alien and terrifying. Now the wilderness feels familiar, almost like an old friend. Your mind drifts to the future. What lies ahead? You've survived this long, but you know that the wilderness never stops testing you. Every day is a new challenge, a new lesson. But now there's a confidence inside you, a belief that you can handle whatever comes next. You've faced down predators, weathered storms, and learned how to live with the land. There's nothing left that can break you. Tomorrow, you'll hunt again. Tomorrow, you'll gather food, build, and keep your shelter intact. Tomorrow, the wilderness will test you once more. But for tonight, you allow yourself a moment of peace. You've earned this. You've earned the right to sit by the fire, to breathe in the cool night air, and to know that you are alive. As you stare into the fire, a quiet thought crosses your mind. You're not just surviving anymore, you're thriving. And for the first time, you realize something else. You belong here, not just as a part of the wilderness, but as a part of the cycle of life itself. You're no longer just a visitor in this world. You are it. And it is you? And that thought settles over you like a blanket as you lean back into the quiet night. The wilderness is vast, and the world is harsh. But in this moment, as you sit with the fire warming your hands, you know you're ready for whatever comes next. As the days stretch on, you begin to notice subtle shifts in the world around you. The forest is changing, though you can't always pinpoint exactly how. It's not as stark as the change you felt when you first arrived. This is a gradual, almost imperceptible transformation. The snow begins to recede, replaced by patches of mud and sprouting grass. The air feels different, fresher somehow. The sun, though still distant, holds a little more warmth, and you can feel it on your skin as you work, though the cold never truly lets go. It's spring. You didn't realize it at first time, has become an abstract concept in this world of survival. But now, as the earth begins to thaw, you know it. You can feel it in the ground beneath your feet, in the softening of the trees, the return of life to the forest. It's a reminder that the wilderness doesn't just test you. It heals too. It adapts, it grows, and it gives back what it takes. You stand outside your shelter one morning, looking out over the new landscape. The trees, once stripped bare by the harsh winter winds, now have the beginnings of new buds on their branches. The forest feels alive in a way it hasn't for months. The first signs of new growth peek from beneath the snow, the bright green of fresh grass, tiny flowers pushing through the dirt. The world is waking up again, just as you have. This is a good time for a change. You've spent the last several months focused on surviving, on learning how to live in the harsh conditions, how to get by day to day. But now, it's time to think beyond survival. It's time to build. You begin to work on your shelter again, adding to it, reinforcing it for the months ahead. It's become more than just a place to sleep. It's your home, your sanctuary in the wilderness. You've made it stronger, more comfortable, and now you begin to focus on making it a true home. You gather more wood, strengthen the walls, and even add some extra layers of grass and leaves to make it more insulated. Your hands, once stiff and uncoordinated, now work with purpose. You've mastered the art of survival, but now you're learning how to thrive. The skills that were once foreign to you, the carving of wood, the building of shelter, are now second nature. You don't just survive anymore. You create, you craft, you shape your world. The animals around you are changing too. You spot more deer grazing in the distance, and the smaller animals seem more abundant, their tracks visible in the freshly thawed earth. The predators, too, are more active, their territories expanding with the return of warmth and prey. You know that hunting will become more challenging as the days grow longer, but you're ready for it. The challenges now seem less insurmountable. You've faced so many of them, and each time you've adapted, learned, and overcome. One evening, as the sun dips below the horizon and the sky is painted with shades of purple and orange, you sit by your fire, contemplating the changes. You've built a life here, and for the first time, you realize that you are part of something much larger. The wilderness is not just a place you survive in. It is your world now. You're not just a visitor anymore. You belong here, as much a part of this landscape as the trees and the animals. The thought is humbling. The world is vast, and there's so much more to learn. The cycle of life continues, and you are part of it, a link in the chain that stretches back through time. The wilderness will always test you. It will always push you to your limits. But it will also provide, if you know how to listen, how to understand its rhythm. And so, as the fire crackles, you reflect on your journey. From the moment you were dropped into this wild, alien world, you fought for every scrap of survival. But now, as you look around at the green shoots poking up from the earth, at the sky stretching out above you, you know that survival isn't just about staying alive. It's about thriving. It's about learning to live in harmony with the land, to find your place within it. Tomorrow, you will hunt again. Tomorrow, you will gather and build and continue your journey in this vast wilderness. But tonight, you rest. You've earned it. And for the first time, you realize that this is just the beginning. The wilderness is your world now, and you are ready for whatever it has to offer. The days pass in a blur of effort and achievement, each one marked by the ever-changing patterns of the forest. You've settled into a routine, but routine in the wilderness is not the same as routine in a warm home. Here, routine is born out of necessity, and every day brings its own unique set of challenges. Yet, In this continuous ebb and flow, you've come to appreciate the structure it provides. It's a rhythm of life, a rhythm that you've learned to follow, and in some ways, control. You wake early now, the morning light slipping through the cracks of your shelter, the warmth of the sun on your face, a gentle nudge to start the day. You've built your shelter to provide better insulation, but the cold still bites, reminding you that you live in a world governed by nature's whims. It's spring, yes, but it's a spring that's still hesitant, still unsure whether to let go of winter's grip. The nights remain cold, and the days, though warmer, carry the remnants of winter's chill. You step outside, your feet crunching through the soft earth, and take a deep breath of the cool morning air. The landscape is changing around you, with new growth emerging everywhere. The trees have begun to leaf out, their branches now lush and full. The ground is softer, the air fresher. You've adapted to this world, but it's still unpredictable, still wild. You never know what the day will bring, and in a way, that's the beauty of it. You gather your tools, check your traps, and prepare for the day ahead. Your spear is now an extension of you, a tool you've perfected through countless attempts and failures. Your bow, which you once doubted you'd ever master, is now a trusted ally in your daily quest for food. You've become adept at tracking, at reading the subtle signs the forest offers, the broken twig, the tracks in the mud, the distant rustle in the bushes. Every sound, every movement has meaning, and you've learned to listen. Today, you decide to venture deeper into the forest, further than you've gone in weeks. You've hunted the usual areas, but now the game is becoming more elusive. The deer, the rabbits, the smaller animals, everything seems to have moved deeper into the woods, following the rhythms of the season, and you know that you must follow them if you're to continue thriving. The food you've gathered has begun to run low, and although you have some dried meat stored, you can't live off that forever. The forest, as you travel deeper, becomes more dense, the trees more massive, their trunks gnarled and twisted. It's a part of the wilderness that feels untouched, wild in a way you haven't experienced before. The sounds of the forest are louder here, the calls of birds, the rustling of leaves, the crunch of branches underfoot. It's as if you've crossed into another world, one where life is more untamed, more raw. You move cautiously, stepping lightly through the underbrush, your eyes scanning the surroundings for signs of movement. There are animals here, you know. You can feel it in the way the forest seems to breathe around you. But this is a dangerous part of the woods, where the larger predators roam mountain lions, wolves, maybe even bears. The air feels thicker here, charged with the energy of something unknown, something you can't see, but know is lurking just beyond your vision. As you move forward, you spot tracks in the soft earth, a large, heavy set of prints, the unmistakable marks of a bear. Your heart skips a beat. The last thing you want is to find yourself between a bear and its food, but the tracks are fresh, and you know you need to keep moving. You follow the tracks cautiously, knowing that the bear is nearby, but also knowing that the forest is vast enough that you might not encounter it. Still, you keep your senses sharp, your spear ready, every muscle in your body tense. You continue your search, your eyes trained on the ground, when you hear something, a deep rumble, a growl that seems to vibrate through the earth. It's the bear, and it's close. You freeze, your heart pounding in your chest. A growl is followed by the sound of heavy footsteps, and then, through the trees, you catch a glimpse of movement massive, dark, and powerful. You don't hesitate. You turn and sprint, running as fast as your legs will carry you, weaving through the trees, the fear of the predator driving you forward. Your breath is ragged, your body aching from the sudden exertion, but you don't slow down. The bear's growls are fading behind you, but you know you're not safe yet. You push harder, your heart racing, adrenaline coursing through your veins. The forest blurs around you, and for the first time in weeks, you feel the rush of true fear, the kind that reminds you just how fragile life is. It's not enough to just survive. You have to be aware of the threats around you, of the predators that stalk not just the game, but you as well. You don't know how far you've run, but eventually the sounds of the bear fade away, replaced by the quiet rustling of the forest. You slow, your breath coming in ragged gasps. Your legs feel like they're made of lead, but you don't stop, not yet. You keep moving deeper into the forest until the panic begins to ebb, replaced by the cold, familiar reality of the wilderness. You've escaped, but only by the thinnest of margins. The bear is still out there, still hunting. And in the wilderness, that's the price you pay for being alive. Survival is never guaranteed, but you've made it this far. You've learned, you've adapted. And as long as you're still breathing, you'll continue. The wilderness is vast, and it will continue to challenge you. But you've become stronger, more attuned to its rhythms. You belong here, in this raw, untamed world. And you will face whatever comes next with the same grit and determination that has carried you this far. The bays blur again, but something has shifted. You've grown accustomed to the chase, the hunting, the building, the never-ending cycle of survival. There's a rhythm to it now, a dance with the wilderness that's both exhausting and strangely exhilarating. Each day you move forward, pushing yourself a little farther, a little deeper, always searching for that edge. The edge where you can breathe, where you can stop and appreciate the world you've carved out for yourself. But the wilderness doesn't give that peace easily. It's always pushing, always testing, and as much as you've learned to thrive here, you've learned that it's never enough to just survive. You must keep learning, keep adapting, or the land will swallow you whole. The bear encounter, though terrifying, has become another piece of knowledge. A reminder that survival isn't just about your own strength. It's about knowing when to fight and when to retreat. The wild has its rules, and the only way to make it here is to understand those rules and respect them. You're not invincible. You've learned that, but you're no longer the terrified person who stumbled into the forest weeks ago. Now you've earned the right to walk this land with purpose. Today, you wake early as usual. The warmth of the sun filters through the trees, casting long shadows on the ground. The air smells fresh, but you can already feel the chill of the coming night. The change of seasons is unmistakable. The woods are full of new life buds, shoots, and the occasional bird song. It's a reminder that the land is constantly shifting, evolving, and that you, too, must keep pace with it. You check your traps first. You've learned that efficiency is key in the wilderness. The quicker you get your food, the more energy you have for the other tasks that need to be done. Your spear is by your side, always. The few tools you've fashioned over the months are now well worn but essential. The primitive weapons you once struggled to make have become extensions of yourself, like a second skin. You're no longer fumbling with rocks or sticks. You're a hunter now, skilled and methodical, capable of reading the forest like a map. You collect your catch, then pause to scan the area. You feel it before you hear it, a shift in the air, a feeling of tension. The forest around you seems to hold its breath, as though waiting for something. You turn your head slightly, just enough to catch the glint of eyes watching you from the trees. Not a bear this time, but something just as dangerous, a pack of wolves. They're not far, but they're watching you closely. You're no longer the prey in their eyes, but you're not entirely safe either. Wolves are intelligent, and they know when to wait and when to strike. You stand still for a moment, assessing the situation. The pack is large, at least 5 or 6 of them, their eyes sharp and calculating. It's a test, a challenge to see if you've truly learned to survive in their world. You can't outrun them, not without a clear lead, not without the right tools. So you stay still, your spear at the ready, but you don't make any sudden movements. The wolves are patient. They wait for you to make the first move, to show fear, to give them an opening. But you're no longer that person who runs. You hold their gaze, watching for signs of aggression, for the shift in their stance that signals an attack. They circle around you slowly, like a dance, each one testing the boundaries of your presence. You don't blink. You don't flinch. You've been here before, in a different form, with the bear, with the deer, and now the wolves. The wind shifts, carrying your scent in their direction. You wait for the moment when they decide you're a threat or easy prey. It doesn't take long. One of the wolves breaks from the pack, its eyes locked on you. It's testing you. Your body tenses, but you don't act immediately. You watch it as it comes closer, the muscles in your legs coiled and ready to spring. The wolf stops, just out of range, and its eyes never leave yours. It's sizing you up, trying to gauge your strength, your resolve. Time slows. You can hear your heartbeat in your ears, the rush of adrenaline beginning to surge through your system. You can feel the wolves' eyes on you, the weight of their collective gaze. You wait. You know that the moment you act, it's either you or them. Then, just as quickly as it started, the tension breaks. The wolf, seemingly satisfied with the challenge, turns and disappears into the forest. The pack follows, their presence fading into the distance. They'll return eventually, but for now, you're safe. You let out a breath you didn't realize you were holding. You stand there for a moment, the adrenaline still coursing through you. Your legs are trembling, but you don't allow yourself to show weakness. You've faced them down, and you've won. The wolves have taught you something crucial about living in the wilderness. It's not just about strength or skill. It's about patience, about knowing when to act and when to wait. It's about understanding that in this world, survival isn't always about being the strongest. It's about being the most adaptable. You gather your things, your body still humming with the thrill of the encounter. The day stretches out before you, full of work and preparation. You have to rebuild your traps, gather food, and strengthen your shelter. You've learned the hard way that there's always more to be done, always something new to learn. But you're ready for it. You're ready for whatever the wilderness throws your way. As the sun dips below the horizon, you sit by your fire, your spear still in hand. The shadows stretch long across the ground, and the sounds of the forest begin to quiet. The wolves are gone, but you know they'll be back. They always are. And when they return, you'll be ready. For now, though, there's peace. The fire crackles, the warmth settles into your bones, and the night begins to settle in. You're alive. You've made it another day. And that, in this world, is enough. The sun rises the next morning, its light still hesitant, filtering weakly through the trees. The wilderness feels alive with possibility, and for a brief moment, you let yourself feel that pulse of hope, that flicker of optimism. But you quickly push it aside. This world is no place for complacency. Not now, not ever. You've learned that lesson time, and again the wilderness never lets you rest. The moment you stop fighting, stop adapting, is the moment the land will swallow you whole. Today feels different, though. You can feel it in the way the air smells, in the slight shift of the breeze, in the rhythm of the forest around you. There's something in the air today, something subtle, something that tells you today might bring change. The predators are active, the deer more skittish, the birds noisier. You step outside your shelter, taking a deep breath of the cool morning air. The fire from the night before is nothing but embers now, a fading warmth that you can't hold on to. It's gone, just like everything else out here. But today, for the first time in a long while, you allow yourself a moment of stillness. You let your mind wander, thinking of how far you've come. There was a time, not long ago, when everything about this place terrified you. The wild, the unknown, the constant struggle to stay alive. You were a stranger in this world, a terrified soul with no tools, no skills, nothing but the raw will to survive. But now, you are something else. You've learned. You've adapted. The wilderness no longer feels like an enemy. It feels like a partner, a teacher. As you gather your things and prepare to head out for the day, you consider the progress you've made. You've built a life here. Your shelter is strong, your traps effective, and you've learned how to navigate this harsh environment with a level of skill you never thought possible. You've learned the land, the animals, and the ever-changing weather patterns. You understand how to read the signs, how to survive. You decide to make your way toward the river today. The last time you checked, the stream had grown stronger with the spring melt, and you suspect there might be fish in it now. Fishing is something you've never attempted, but you know that if you're going to continue surviving out here, you need to expand your hunting methods. It's not just about stalking deer or rabbits anymore. You need to become more versatile. So today, you will learn to fish. You grab your spear, your makeshift net, and a couple of the basic tools you've used for carving. The journey to the river is not far, about half a mile through dense forest. You walk quietly, taking your time. The world is awake around you, alive with the sounds of the forest coming back to life after the long winter. You pass familiar landmarks, the oak tree with the low branch, the large rock where you once tripped during an early hunt, the patch of ferns you'd marked in your memory. These places are no longer just part of the terrain. They're part of you now, part of the world you've created here. When you reach the river, you stand on the bank for a moment, surveying the water. It's not deep, but it's fast-moving, clear, and cold. The rocks under the water create small ripples, and you can see the flash of fish darting between them. You've never tried fishing before, but the instinct to survive pushes you forward. You kneel down at the edge of the river, carefully watching the fish, learning their patterns. They're swift, quick to dart away when you move, but you can tell they're distracted by the current. You fashion your spear into something more effective for fishing, trimming the end into a point and sharpening it with a rock. You watch the fish, calculating the right moment. Then, with a deep breath, you lunge. The spear misses. The fish scatter in a burst of bubbles and ripples. But you don't stop. You failed, yes, but that doesn't mean you've lost. You reset, calm yourself, and try again. Your movements are quieter this time, more measured. You're starting to understand the rhythm of the river, the way the water flows, and the way the fish move through it. The next time, you are ready. You strike with precision, your spear hitting its mark. The fish is larger than you expected, its body thrashing as it tries to escape. You pull it from the water, the struggle sharp and frantic, but your grip is firm. You've done it. You've caught your first fish. You sit down beside the riverbank, breathing heavily, the fish still twitching in your hands. There's something deeply satisfying about the moment, about the rawness of it, the simplicity of it. You've hunted before, but this is different. You've learned a new skill. You've pushed yourself further than you thought you could. You take a moment to appreciate it, the stillness, the solitude, the rawness of survival. And then, with a quick, efficient motion, You prepare the fish, starting with the gutting and scaling. There's no fire nearby, but the river provides its own cooling source. The fish will keep for a while in the cold water, but you know that you'll need to cook it soon. For now, you eat the fresh meat, savoring the clean taste of the river's bounty. You sit back against the rock, your legs stretched out in front of you. The sun is high now, and the world around you feels balanced, as if everything is in its right place. You are part of this world, as much a part of the forest, the river, and the animals as the trees themselves. Tomorrow, you will fish again. Tomorrow, you will continue your journey through the wilderness, learning, adapting, and thriving. But tonight, for this moment, you are content. You are not just surviving, you are living. And for the first time since you arrived, you realize that you found a way to make peace with this world. The fire flickers as night falls, casting a warm glow against the growing chill of the evening. You are at peace, not because the wilderness is easy, but because you've learned how to live within it, how to work with it, and how to respect it. And that is something worth celebrating. The days stretch on, and with each one, you grow more in tune with the land. The wilderness no longer feels like an alien world. It's your world now. The struggle, the constant challenge, has become a way of life, and it no longer frightens you the way it once did. You've become part of the cycles here. The trees grow, the animals follow their rhythms, and the seasons change as they always have. You've learned to move with them, to adapt to each shift in the landscape, knowing that survival is not just about strength, but about the ability to remain fluid, to change as the world around you does. Today, you wake early as usual. The sun is just starting to creep over the horizon, and the world is still quiet. You take a deep breath, savoring the crisp morning air. The forest around you is alive with the sound of birds calling, the faint rustle of small animals scurrying through the underbrush. There's a peace in the morning, a stillness that you've come to cherish. For a moment, you simply sit in it, letting the quiet settle into your bones. But peace is fleeting in the wilderness. You have work to do. The fire from the night before is just embers now, and you begin by stoking it, adding small pieces of dry wood. The crackle of the fire fills the air, and with it, a sense of purpose. There is always something to be done, always something to improve, something to gather, something to prepare for. Your stomach rumbles, reminding you that the hunt must continue. It's been a few days since your last successful catch, and while you've managed to gather enough food to get by, the reality is clear. You can't live off of past success forever. The land provides, but it requires work. And you've learned that the hard way. If you stop hunting, stop gathering, the wilderness will take back what it gave. You've seen it happen before. The forest seems to welcome you as you step outside your shelter, your spear in hand, the familiar weight of it, a constant reminder of your connection to this world. You move through the underbrush, eyes sharp, ears tuned to every crack of a twig, every rustle in the leaves. The forest is full of life, but it's a quiet kind of life, a life that hides just beneath the surface. It's a world of predators and prey, of hunger and survival, and you've become a part of it. You spot tracks in the soft earth a deer, a good-sized one. You crouch down, your breath steady, focusing on the prints. The deer is close. You can feel it, its presence just out of reach. Your eyes scan the forest, trying to find any sign of movement. The wind is on your side today, carrying your scent away from the animals. You're hidden, just another part of the forest. You follow the tracks, your movements quiet, deliberate. The forest seems to grow denser as you move, the trees towering over you, their thick branches blocking out much of the light. It feels like you're moving through a tunnel of green, the world narrowing until it's just you and the hunt. The deer could be anywhere, but you know this is the moment. This is the time to strike. After what feels like hours of tracking, you finally spot the deer. It's grazing peacefully, unaware of your presence. You take a deep breath, crouching lower, steadying yourself. This is it, your moment. The spear feels like a natural extension of your arm now, not a tool, but a part of you. Your heart beats in rhythm with the forest. The deer raises its head, sniffing the air, its ears twitching. It knows something is off, but it doesn't know where the threat is coming from. You strike. The spear flies with precision, the sharp point sinking into the side of the deer. It stumbles, letting out a desperate bleat before it crashes to the ground. For a moment, everything stops. The forest is silent. The deer is still. You stand there, breathless, your heart pounding in your chest. It's over. You've done it. You kneel beside the animal, your hands shaking slightly from the adrenaline. It's not just the hunt. It's the confirmation of everything you've learned, everything you've become. You've survived. You've thrived. And now, you've provided for yourself once again. You set to work quickly, knowing that the sooner you process the meat, the better. You've learned to do this efficiently, to make sure nothing goes to waste. The hide, the bones, the meat, it's all useful. Every part of the animal has a purpose, and you've learned how to make use of it all. There's no room for waste here. The wilderness doesn't forgive it. As you finish your work, the day begins to fade into dusk. The light from the setting sun filters through the trees, casting long shadows across the forest floor. The air cools, and the sounds of the forest shift from the busy chatter of day to the quiet stillness of night. You stand and look at the deer, your kill, and you feel something deep inside you, a connection to the land, to the cycle of life and death. You've taken part in this cycle now, and it's no longer foreign to you. It's no longer something to fear. The wilderness has become your home, and you've become a part of it, as much as the trees, the animals, and the stars in the sky above. The fire crackles as you sit back down by it, the warmth spreading through your tired limbs. You've done what you set out to do today. You've survived. And tomorrow, you will do it all again. The wilderness will test you, challenge you, but you will continue. You will adapt. You will thrive. The night grows deeper, and the stars begin to twinkle overhead. The world feels vast, but in this moment, you are content. You have everything you need, everything you've worked for. You are alive. You are a part of this world. And that is enough. The next few days pass in a blur of work and survival. You've fallen into the rhythm of the wilderness so deeply, now that it feels almost like an extension of yourself. Every step you take is purposeful. Every decision a calculated move in the ongoing game of life and death. You know that there's always something lurking around the corner, another challenge, another danger, but you've learned how to face it, how to move through it. You spend your mornings hunting, tracking the deer and other game that have become your regular prey. It's never easy, but it's necessary. The forest is rich in life, but it's also full of danger, and you've learned how to navigate both. Each hunt is a reminder that survival isn't guaranteed, and that you're constantly walking a tightrope between life and death. Your shelter has become more than just a place to sleep. It's your fortress, your refuge in a world that's unyielding and relentless. You've fortified it, reinforced its walls with branches and grass, and now it's as much a part of you as the forest itself. The fire crackles brightly every night, a comforting presence in the darkness. It's the only constant in a world that changes with every gust of wind, every shift in the sky. But as time passes, something else begins to change. You've started noticing more than just the rhythms of the forest. You've started noticing the rhythms of your own body. The exhaustion that once came after each hunt now lingers longer. The aches and pains that were once fleeting now have a more persistent edge. You can feel the wear on your body, the strain of days filled with constant movement, constant work. Your muscles are more defined now, your body lean and strong, but it's also starting to feel the weight of this life. The world around you has become part of you, but it's taking its toll. One morning, as you stand by your shelter and stretch your sore muscles, you notice something in the distance. A figure standing still near the edge of the forest. At first, you think it's a trick of the light, but then you see it again, a person, moving slowly, cautiously through the underbrush. Your heart skips a beat. For the first time in months, you're not alone in this wilderness. You've been the only human here, living in solitude, learning how to survive on your own. And now, someone else is here. You freeze, your spear gripped tightly in your hands. Your mind races. Who could this be? A hunter? A wanderer? Or something more dangerous? You don't know, but what you do know is that you need to make a decision. The person doesn't seem to notice you. They're back to you as they move further into the forest. You have a choice: stay hidden and observe, or approach them and find out who they are. You hesitate, unsure of what to do. It's been so long since you've encountered anyone, so long since you've seen a face other than your own. But you've also learned to trust your instincts. The wilderness has taught you to trust your judgment, to listen to that quiet voice that guides you when everything else seems uncertain. You decide to approach, but slowly. You move carefully through the trees, keeping your distance, staying out of sight. As you get closer, you see more details. The person is dressed in furs, much like you are, their hair wild and untamed. They move with a quiet confidence, the way a hunter moves when they're comfortable in their environment. But there's something about them that doesn't quite sit right. You stop, crouching low behind a large rock, watching. You can see the figure now, clearer than before. They're carrying a spear, like you, but their posture is more relaxed, more unbothered. They don't seem to be hunting or searching for anything in particular. They're just here. The silence is thick as you weigh your options. The wilderness has taught you many things, but nothing more important than the value of caution. You can't trust anyone out here, not easily, at least. Trust must be earned, and this person hasn't earned it yet. Your thoughts race, but you stay still, your fingers tight around your spear. You need to make a move. But what is the right move? You consider your options again, confront them. Observe more? Wait until they leave? But before you can make a decision, the stranger turns. Their eyes lock onto yours, and for a moment, time seems to stop. There's no aggression in their gaze, no immediate threat, but it's clear that they've noticed you. The silence stretches between you, thick with tension. They don't move, don't speak, just wait. You can feel the weight of the moment. The wilderness has brought you here, to this point, this intersection of paths. There's a history between you and this land, now a long, intimate history. But what does it mean now that someone else has entered it? The stranger takes a step forward, their hands open, signaling no immediate danger. And in that moment, you make your choice. You lower your spear, slowly, cautiously. You're still unsure about what to make of this encounter, but you know one thing. Survival is no longer about being alone. It's about learning to trust again. And this moment, this stranger may hold the key to a new chapter in your life here, one you didn't expect. The stranger doesn't move immediately, but their posture is open, relaxed, unthreatening. For a long moment, neither of you speaks. You're both locked in this strange, unspoken understanding that this encounter could go any number of ways. Trust doesn't come easily out here. It never has. The wilderness has taught you that anyone, anything, could be a threat. You've survived this long by learning to rely on your instincts, your ability to read the environment, the animals, the very air itself. But this is different. This is human. And humans are harder to predict than a deer or a bear. The stranger doesn't seem rushed, but there's a quiet urgency in their eyes. They look around for a moment, taking in the surrounding forest as though sizing up the land. Then they speak. Their voice is rough, not unlike your own after months of silence, but it's calm, measured. You've been here a while, haven't you? They say, their words slow, as if testing the air between you both. The question hangs there, simple and yet loaded. You nod, unsure how to respond. You've never been the kind of person to open up easily, not out here. But something about their calm presence makes you hesitate, makes you want to hear more. I've been alone for some time, they continue. Didn't think I'd find anyone else out here. Thought maybe I was the last one left. The stranger's voice drops, the weight of their words sinking into the quiet space between you. There's a flicker of something in their eyes, pain, maybe, or just the lingering ghosts of a long journey. They're searching for something, and perhaps they're hoping you have the answers. You finally speak, your voice hoarse from the silence. What brings you here? You don't know why you ask it, but the question feels important, the first real connection to another human being in what feels like forever. The stranger glances around once more, as if weighing whether or not to share their story. After a moment, they sigh, their breath visible in the cold air. I was part of a group ... once. We were traveling, trying to find safer land. Things happened. People ... got lost. Things got bad. They pause, and you can see the weight of that memory in their eyes. I've been alone for months, trying to figure out where to go next. It's not much, but it's something. And something in you shifts. You've known the loneliness of the wilderness, the crushing isolation that comes from being the only one of your kind in a world full of creatures that don't care whether you live or die. You understand that pain, that weariness, that need for connection. What now? You ask. What do you need? The stranger looks at you for a long moment, and for the first time since they arrived, you see something change in their expression. It's a glimmer of hope, barely visible but undeniable. I've been wandering too long, they admit quietly. I need help. I can't keep going alone forever. For the first time since this meeting started, the stranger steps closer. The tension you once felt begins to melt, replaced by a cautious curiosity. You've been alone for so long. The idea of another person, someone to share this life with, feels foreign, unsettling even. But deep down, something in you knows that this moment is inevitable. The wilderness is a place of both immense solitude and constant change. You can't stay isolated forever. Your mind races as you weigh the decision. You've learned how to survive on your own, how to navigate this harsh landscape, but survival alone is a difficult, lonely existence. You've already faced enough challenges. Maybe it's time to let someone else in. After a long pause, you take a deep breath. You've survived, you've thrived, and now it's time to trust just a little. You nod slowly, offering a tentative gesture of acceptance. You can stay. You say the words more difficult than they should be. For now. The stranger's face softens, and for a moment, it feels like the weight of years of isolation lifts. It's not much, but it's a start, a beginning. The next few hours pass in quiet conversation. You both share what you've learned about this wild place, about the land, the animals, and the unrelenting forces of nature that govern it. The stranger listens intently as you speak, their eyes wide with a mixture of curiosity and admiration. You can see the gaps in their knowledge, things they haven't learned, things they haven't had the chance to experience yet. In turn, they tell you stories of the world outside this forest, of places you can barely imagine now. They speak of distant mountains, old cities, and the people they once knew. Their words are like a window into a life you've forgotten, a world that no longer exists for you. But more than the stories, you sense a shared understanding between you. The wilderness has shaped both of you, made you stronger, more self-reliant. But it has also taught you the price of solitude. You can see now, as the stranger shares their own story, that they too have learned the harsh lessons of survival. And somehow, just by being here, they've become part of your world, just as you've become part of theirs. As the night falls, the fire crackling between you, you sit in a silence that isn't uncomfortable, but peaceful. The moon rises above the forest, casting silver light across the trees. The world outside feels vast, but within the circle of light from the fire, you feel a quiet kind of safety. Maybe the wilderness isn't just about surviving anymore. Maybe, just maybe, it's about finding something more, finding connection, finding a reason to keep moving forward, not just for yourself, but for others too. And as the fire flickers and the night deepens, you realize that the journey ahead isn't something you have to face alone anymore. For the first time in a long while, you don't feel like the only person left in the world that tomorrow will come. And you will face it not alone, but with someone who understands the wilderness just as deeply as you do. The wind rustles through the trees, and you know that the wilderness will always test you. But for tonight, you rest, knowing you are no longer alone.